Welcome, listeners, to Gamer Headlines' Spoilercast. As the name suggests, Spoilercast is an in-depth discussion on all of the best and worst story moments in a recently released title. I, of course, am one of your co-hosts, Chris Cortez, and as always, I am joined by my other co-host, Adnan Riaz.
Oh, I hate Skype.
Dude, I really wish, I know we can't do it, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could open this podcast with the man who sold the world? Do-do-do-do-do. Like, it would just fit this podcast so well.
Yeah.
Well, guys, as you have seen, if you've clicked this is, for me and Andon, oh my god, this is like 5 years in the making, man.
The mother of all spoilercasts, pun intended.
It is,
like,
it's the big daddy, man. It's Metal
the big
Gear
boss
Solid. Big boss himself. But this is Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain Spoilercast. So, needless to say, if you are one of the, and I say one of the many because I know a lot of people are still playing this, but if you are one of the many people who are still playing this game, needless to say, you will be spoiled to shit. Okay? Like, we are really going to go in depth with this. So please, come back and watch or listen if you don't want to be spoiled, but we are going to get into a lot of, big story moments, so keep that in mind. But without further ado, dude, where do you want to start, dude? Do you want to give overall impressions or just start right from the get-go, the overall story? It's kind of a hard one, either or.
I've been thinking about this all fucking week. I don't even know how we're going to approach the podcast. I'd say we should start from the beginning. Okay. That opening cutscene.
Yeah.
Dig deep.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, should we, I was implying, should we dig deep into this massive can of worms? Open up.
I think we should. Well, I don't know. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just see where it takes us. Let's just dive into it. So, okay, the game has a really interesting way of opening the game. The very first mission is titled Mission 0: Prologue Awakening, and the first it's a very structured and a very what's it called? Scripted opening. That's very different from the rest of the game. It's not the whole open world, you can approach this anywhere you want to. It's a very on-rails segment where you know exactly what you're doing and where you're going and all that. And it's basically the main character, Venom Snake, waking up, or Punished Venom Snake, as he's called throughout the whole game, waking up and being assisted out of a hospital by this guy named Ishmael. And right before that, a lot of weird shit happens. The doctor is doing that whole thing of you have been in a coma for 9 years. It's a coma, all that crap. I don't know what he's saying when you're freaking out. He's like, it's a coma. I feel like he's saying it's just a coma. I feel like that's what he was saying, but it's a really weird intro, and you create an avatar, and at first I thought Kojima was trolling us, and that we weren't actually going to play as someone that looks like Big Boss. We were going to play as your avatar, and then I guess before the surgery can even happen, you get the doctor gets killed by fucking Quiet, who comes out of nowhere and is talking, and you're like, wait a minute. And then the whole escape happens with Ishmael and Venom Snake, and what's it called? You end up seeing this dude on fire, who we'll get to later on in the podcast.
The Man on Fire.
The Man on Fire, that's his name, officially. Canonically, his name's Man on Fire. Or the Dude on Fire, as I like to say. And then basically, you also see, this little kid with a gas mask who we think is Psycho Mantis. I guess he is. They don't really ever say it. It's really weird. And then, basically, all this crap happens, and you meet Ocelot. Dude, what'd you think of the intro? To kind of, bring it home.
Start off with this game I had chills playing this entire fucking game. It was honestly unreal. Just loading up, and when I got to it, I was like, oh shit me, just the entire thing. But yeah, the intro was very
weird.
I can't surreal though as well at the same time. I had such a kind of Kojima vibe from it. I think this was one of his most defining chapters of starting a game, because I think one of the biggest things is this game throws back to Metal Gear Solid 2 more than any other game. I found like there's so many references to Metal Gear Solid 2, which is crazy. Kind of like just creating your avatar and like you putting your name in. There was such a kind of, I felt it was a huge throwback to MGS2 because when you go to the node and put your name in, and then it springs back up, it kind of like plays a big part into that.
Right.
I think like it sets up the entire story quite well. It sets the theme up. It tells you kind of like how the universe is set in that game. It's almost like electric shock therapy as well at the same time because like Big Boss has just come out of a coma from 9 years, and then it's kind of like throwing you back into it. It's kind of like it's that kind of thing where his I love how it sets it up. Like basically, he comes out of the coma, he realizes that he's lost his arm. He's got the shrapnel in his head. Like there's just that kind of like that idea that he's woken up 9 years after the coma. It's kind of like his body's breaking up because it can't comprehend what's happened. Even like the man who sold the world playing in the background. It's just like a great theme to fit in the back of it. I think like one of the like quiet's an interesting one as well. So many people didn't notice that it was quiet, and I was like, what? Like
That's
it fucking looks
crazy. It's
like
her.
it's definitely Houston. Like it looks like exactly like her. I even love Ishmael. I just like how he talks to you, how he speaks to you. It's almost like a phantom watching over you. It sets up the game so well. Like kind of the themes it plays with, breaking out of the hospital, the man on fire being there, and like I think a lot of people did throw a lot of criticism about his crawling and stuff like that. And it was long. It was a long opening. Well, I think it's intentionally done like that because it's kind of like setting everything back in stone. Because it's kind of like. Great how you play as Big Boss and he kind of slowly recovers parts of his body. Like at first you can only crawl, but then you can kind of like lean on the wall and move across it, and then you can like start to walk and then run and then shoot. Like those kind of like things come back to you. It's almost like a different kind of tutorial that you kind of relearning things, almost like Assassin's Creed, where you regain your equipment in the first game. It's like you're getting things back. I think that's a huge part of the game.
In the strategy guide, I have the collector's edition. There's a little segment. I think I've mentioned this on Gamer Headline Show before. That it's a brief segment that shows conceptual artwork and gives like commentary by Kojima. And actually, he said about the crawling thing. He said that opening of Snake crawling and then like he stands up and he's kind of slouching over and then he actually finally stands. That he says that's supposed to be representative of man learning to walk upright. That's what he said in his commentary.
Oh, he has a snake after all, isn't he?
So, and I think it's interesting because later on, Sahelanthropus, not to get ahead, but he's supposed to be like the upright Metal Gear. So, interesting theme between the two.
Very Planet of the Apes vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But yeah, no, I agree, dude. The intro is very interesting. Let me ask you a question, and I know this is getting into spoiler territory, but without quite yet spoiling it, what was when you first heard Ishmael, and you saw that, or you heard rather that Ishmael and Snake have the same voice actor, Kiefer Sutherland? What did you think? Like, what the hell did you think that meant? Like at the first like thing, like the opening.
Well, at first I was like a cheap throwaway, like just find the medic.
So you thought it was just them saving money? Like, no, this guy.
Well, no, I honestly felt like it linked back. I thought that was the medic.
From the helicopter.
Yeah, basically at that point I was so convinced that I was spiritually speaking with Big Boss. Like I was Big Boss, but I was also seeing Big Boss before the crash.
Oh, so like a memory thing or whatever.
Yeah, like a memory thing. Like he is walking you through it. Like he's the big boss who's watched over you, but he's the big boss of the past. Mm-hmm. Because I had a completely different expectation of the story. It's obviously different from what Kojima delivered. But I did honestly think that was Big Boss as like incarnated from like a memory from Big Boss who's just woken up. He just assumes that that's the character. That's why he says I'm you. Or you're talking to a spirit, or whatever he says. I can't remember what exactly he says.
I thought it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I thought it was like a Tyler Durden type thing from from Fight Club. I thought that Snake had like two personas, and that one of them was like I'm weak, I've been in a coma for 9 years, and the other one is like the angry, like fuck Big you, boss. I'm gonna throw shit at you, quiet, like, which I don't know why that looks so funny when Ishmael just starts throwing. It's like a comedy. It just looks really funny. Like, I'll throw whatever I can find at you, assassin girl. But yeah, I that's what I thought, and well, we'll get to that later. That's definitely something to talk about later. So after the opening, the game kind of goes into almost like a further like tutorial. Like, you know, now it goes into like you look like what we've seen Snake in all the promo arts. You have the robot arm, which is awesome. You have, you know, the horn, and you have the outfit, the hair in a ponytail. You're buffer. You're not so skinny. And Ocelot, you know, is talking to you and is like telling you, Kaz is in Afghanistan. You know, that whole scene he does. And that whole opening has it. By the way, let me just take a moment to talk about Kaz here. I mean, not Kaz, Ocelot. Dude, we have this thing with Troy Baker. Okay, basically, the very opening of the game, Troy does an amazing job. Like, it is the perfect young... it's like somewhere between the Josh Keaton Ocelot from Snake Eater and Portable Ops and the Patrick Zimmerman Ocelot from like Metal Gear Solid and on. Like it was like this really cool kind of like gruffy voice like that. It just suited him so well. And then I swear to God, after episode 1, after you rescue Kaz or whatever, all of a sudden he's like, "All right, Snake, let's talk about full tone extraction. You got to raise your R&D team's level." And I'm like, "Why are you Southern, dude?"
Did you laugh when he starts saying laissez-faire terribles?
Yeah, like, and then, it was terrible. It was so, I don't know what the hell happened. Like, I don't know if it was intentional, or if, like, maybe, like, after the first day of recording, like, Chris Zimmerman, the the person in charge of directing the voice actors and stuff, I don't know if she said, like, just basically do Joel from The Last of Us. Like, I don't know what it was.
So bad. Honestly, Ocelot is my least favourite character in this game, and I fucking cardinal sin number 1 for me to say. I fucking dislike Troy Baker so much in this game. And it's not even the fact that Troy Baker does a bad job, I just think it's the fact that he sounds like Troy Baker. Like, the voices are there. It's not even the fact that I've listened to Troy Baker so many times, I've heard Joel, Booker DeWitt, etc., etc. These characters all have different voices, and they kind of sporadically play that way. But as you said, Ocelot kind of just becomes something else. Yeah. Like, he just sounds like Miller. And I'm just like, why does he sound like Miller? He shouldn't sound like that. And I think from that, it kind of distracts of how amazing, Robin Atkin Downs' performance is. Like, he's like one of the stars of the show, but we'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
But I mean, his voice just didn't feel like it fit the game. Almost, it's just sort of forced on. Mm-hmm. I agree with you as well. It's just the kind of quality of it kind of went downhill slowly after, each cutscene, which was a little bit disappointing for me on that part. Like, I don't really dislike the character being there. There's a reason for the character to be on the base, but I mean, it's just a little bit weird at the same time.
Yeah.
Just to hear him so different to the point where I'm like, you know what, it doesn't make it a different person, but it just feels like I feel like it's almost a miscast, and that's hard to say when it's Troy Baker being Ocelot.
Dude, literally after, the second he says, "Now go, let the legend come back to life," after that line, from that point on, he's Southern, and he's not Ocelot anymore, to me. Like, he looks like Ocelot, but I don't know what the creative decision of that was, and I don't know why. It's so bizarre. Why would they, even keep that dialogue if they wanted him to... He's Southern 90% of the game, and there's, a 10%... No, actually, a 5% where he's, not... I don't get that. I don't even know why Ocelot would do that. Was it a phase he went through? He's just I'm just going to be Southern for a little bit. Fuck it. I don't know. But it's a very odd choice. And I played, by the way, I haven't finished it, but I played a little bit of the Japanese version of the game. And, I mean, there really isn't any accents the actors play, but Kaz sounds like a young Kaz. I mean, I'm sorry, look, I'm confusing them
Ocelot.
now, even talking about them. But yeah, Ocelot sounds like Ocelot in Japanese. I play the other games in Japanese, and he sounds like a younger version. Nothing weird about it or anything like that. So I really don't know why in the English version they chose to do that. It's a very, very strange decision to make. But
probably for the appeal, Troy Baker.
I mean, I don't know. I would really like to... That would be the question I ask Troy if I ever met him. But then I'd feel like an asshole too, because why would I... dissect his...
Well, it's not knocking his performance, because he does put a kind of a good round in. It's just the fact it feels like a miscast, because when you take a character like that on yourself, you want to spin it. I mean, just take an example of Big Boss, David Hayter, Richard Doyle, Kiefer Sutherland. All of them have spun Big Boss in a different way, and kind of give him a different identity. It's about creating an identity with a character. How many iterations of the Joker have we had? Like, that's an example of like what you can do, changing things. Troy just feels like Troy Baker. It feels like I'm having a conversation with Troy Baker, and that doesn't kind of like really make it feel like Ocelot. This Ocelot that we've known, who's transitioned through different like kind of periods. I expected him to be. Well, obviously my expectation is different, but I mean, like, you kind of assume that this would be a character that would have kind of like a bit of a more of a gritty voice that leads into the I am Shalashashka kind of voice that he has in the MGS1, MGS2.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's an odd choice. I can't make heads or tails of it. I would love to, like I said, like to see why make him Southern. I mean, he's a cowboy, I get it, but that's kind of always the irony in the first MGS that he did not have a cowboy accent, but he just liked dressing up as a cowboy. It's kind of funny.
Spaghetti, he's a.
He loves, and he has that sweet stash.
He's a gunslinger, though, isn't he, Ocelot?
Yeah.
Remember that.
But so the first, episode or mission, whatever you want to call it, you rescue Kaz. Not a whole lot of story. It's more of like a tutorial thing. You infiltrate this area and you rescue him. And then Kaz, has this like he's pissed, man. He's lost his arm, his leg. He gives that epic speech from those trailers, like the arm I can't feel. Like that whole big speech he gives.
Yeah. Cypher's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cypher's going, how? We're going even deeper than that.
Yeah.
Like, and Robin Atkinson, like the performances.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah, he just knocked it out of the ballpark, man. Like he is like the unsung hero of this game. I really think he gave the.
He's the unsung hero of the series.
What happened? Sorry,
but he's the unsung hero of the entire series so far. Kazuhiro Miller. I think it's such a great character. The Robin Atkinson, like just how he kind of personifies what Kaz is.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it just becomes like, he almost becomes like the splitting demon of like Big Boss. And that's already saying something with Big Bosses are almost like a demon. It's like two devils are spawned.
Right.
And they kind of like, pulling on the ropes against each other, like just the way he speaks and kind of like, he has this kind of like every time I kept playing, I just felt like he would almost like assume control of like, the entire operations of the Diamond Dogs. Mm-hmm. Like, you just have that kind of personality and just like this kind of anger. Like, I mean, like, as a kind of like an emotion, hate, and like, hate's such a strong word. It just fuels Kaz, and it makes so much sense. Like that character doesn't need any more kind of like expansion, except the fact that it's that hate. It's just such a simple thing. It's driving him now to create like a new goal. It's like he says it like, I want to destroy Cypher, and like Big Boss is like, our past is our past. We can build a future. But Kaz isn't like that. He's like, I want to destroy Zero and then build my future on it.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, he's so pissed in this game. It's like a very different Kaz. Like the Kaz from Peace Walker is very like laid back and like the Parisian, huh? She fought, like stuff like that. And in this game, he's so not like that. In this game, he's like very much one track minded. It almost gets a little bit annoying at times how he keeps blaming Cypher for everything. I'm like, dude, calm down. Like he's like, it's probably Cypher, and I'm like, maybe it's not.
It's quiet. It's like, oh shit, like chaos. I'm sure it's her. It's like, are you?
Like he's just very upset. It's very odd, and all that. But so he comes back, and you basically find out that Kaz has been trying to form a new mercenary company to replace MSF. After its downfall in Ground Zeroes, and it's Diamond Dogs. And basically now that Snake is back, he's like, now we could really, make it something big. And so basically you just do a couple of like, this is where the story kind of like drops and all those cassette tapes happen, and like you learn about how Chico actually died in the helicopter crash. And you're like, really? He died in the... Like, that's how you're going to kill Chico? Like, just like that? People even... I've read jokes. I read jokes online that Chico's bone is what's in Snake's head. Like, the sharp-nosed Chico. Which I think is hilarious.
Snake!
Yeah, like... what do I do with girls?
This was one of my biggest disappointment, was that the fact that Amanda and Chico are kind of, like, written off almost, like, as nothing. I think, like, Amanda, I assume that kind of had a little bit of a bigger role almost to play in this Metal Gear. Because I think you're going to make her so central in Peace Walker, and then she kind of like mentioned briefly in Ground Zeroes, then completely disappeared. And and I think Chico wasn't. I think like it would have been a little bit shitty to make the story of the fact that Chico is the reason that Big Boss is driven to build another mercenary organization, exact revenge and stuff. So I didn't really mind about Chico disappearing, but I did think Amanda would have like some kind of part in it, just because like maybe she held like Big Boss responsible for her brother's death.
I think the funniest theory I ever read pre-game release was everyone thought Chico was going to become Machine Gun Kid in the original Metal Gear. One of the Outer Heaven people.
I was a more ridiculous one that people thought it was going to be quiet. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I think someone asked that to Stephanie Justin, who plays her, and I think she got offended. She's like, no, like I'm not, no, quiet. Yeah, she's like, what are you talking about? Like,
I'm surprised she's offended. You basically imply she's playing a little boy. He's had like a.
Like, man, like Chico got
sex change for like whatever reason. It's weird when you think about it. There was no kind of like parallel and context about why it is that, but yeah, that kind of like made me feel a little bit iffy about the game on that kind of front, and the fact that Chico and maybe Amanda, there maybe is something about Fleshy. The thing is that the tapes were a weird one because the tapes there's so much context behind the game, yet they're kind of like sidelined. One of the things is the fact that, like, you know, how they kind of speak about it. They speak to, like, during the kind of past games, they speak almost like in a newbie tone. Mm-hmm. The fact that, you know, newcomers to the series, like how Ocelot, like an example of how Troy Baker annoys is the fact that he dictates something for the tape almost like I have never played MGS3. And like almost, right. and almost as if his Ocelot character doesn't remember the events of MGS3. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, there's an example. I'm going to jump a little bit forward. When the Man of Fire's identity is revealed, and Ocelot's there as well, and in the kind of like body, he doesn't react to it.
Right.
I'm like, this, like, you know, this is Ocelot, the guy who betrayed him, and almost like, you know, you'd expect more kind of like emotion to kind of resonate between two characters like that. It's just it was strange seeing it. But yeah, tapes are tapes are interesting. I feel like at the same time,
I was gonna say a lot of the story was in it, like.
Yeah, and at the same time, I expected that maybe 5 years ago, if this would have come out after MGS4, it would have been a cutscene. A lot of these tapes.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah,
I think like even for Kojima, it would have been even more amazing to watch it as well because his technique and like elevation as a director is, you know, unparalleled on Metal Gear Solid 5. Like how far he's become as a game director, how far he's involved in the series, the techniques he uses, camera angles, positioning, everything. The story is just so much more fluid, has reason behind it. He lets cameras linger on Big Boss's face, on Kars's face, on Huey's face. Like, you know, he wants people to feel things. You know, the lighting effect. There's so much great things about it. Like, it kind of like it upset me almost at the fact that MGS5 had very, like, you know, sweet and short cutscenes as well, because, like, this is amazing, like, you know, how he's telling it.
Actually, it's good that you brought that up. I was going to mention that at one point on the show, the camera techniques like that, like, this is just, Kojima has learned so much. Like, he really did a lot of, like, motion capturing in MGS4. I feel like he that was, like, him kind of, like, on the training wheels of it. And then, obviously, Peace Walker didn't really have a whole lot of that, because it was on a... I mean, I think they did motion capturing, but it wasn't, like, these lavish cutscenes. It was, you know, mostly the comic book stuff because of the PSP hardware. But Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes, they have this very unique way of storytelling that's all one shot. And the thing is, like, the all one shot technique that he does, it's done so well because it's almost not noticeable at times, which to me... is a good thing. That just shows that he's moving the camera around so much that everything just works out so well. Like, you're so in the scene with those people. You feel almost omnipotent. Like, you're witnessing, like, several different things happening all at once in one scene. And that's, like, super fucking admirable that he was able to pull that off, you know, based off of his background. The cinematography is, and this is so funny to say in a video game, but the cinematography is beautiful. It's so well done. Like, it rivals that you'd see in films, I would argue.
Oh yeah, like kind of like I just want some time, like just one day I want to bring someone who's never played games or doesn't really play games on very many levels and watch them, make them watch an MGS cutscene. Not for the purpose of seeing storytelling, more for the purpose of seeing how they react to kind of like how realistic it is. Like, it's very... I think for Kojima, who's been, you know, a film enthusiast and like someone who wants to make games on the same level as films one day, has almost achieved that with this. The way he kind of like shows what he's capable of. I think it's just how he's brilliant at kind of like just showing those cutscenes, like, you know, reacting for people to see what Big Boss is seeing, kind of like moving it, the way the TV episodes things structured. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I think the TV episode things are really weird as well during the opening credits.
I thought it was hilarious, by the way, because what was it like? Everyone made such a big deal of the whole, and rightfully so, that Kojima's name was written off of the box of the, but like, dude, you see his name in the game so many times. What was the point of removing his name from the box? Like, Kojima made this name. He credits himself in every fucking mission. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I like the thing is though, his TV credit thing works well in certain cases, like Mission 43, The Man Who Sold the World, not The Man Who Sold Her, Shining Light, even in whatever it's called. Like that opening cutscene, the credits roll over it while the cutscene's playing, and it looks like just so great because it feels like almost like a TV episode. Do you know what he's going for? The feel and the effect. But then when you're in the helicopter and it's doing it, it just feels a little bit generic. It kind of throws away a bit of the story because it's like, guest starring Skullface and this person. I'm like, well, Skullface is in the episode. Yes, it does give context that this character's going to become, maybe Kojima's going to throw something in the works of like, it's crazy that this character's in it, but it kind of like, it shatters any kind of like idea of this person's going to pop up in it. It's almost like putting MGS4 the final episode in that, and then putting during the credits like guest starring Big Boss. You'd be like, because that reaction would be like almost elevated from like the biggest shock value down to the like, okay, I know he's going to be in it,
right?
In some way, shape, or form. It kind of like it ruins the element of surprise almost.
Yeah, especially
I don't understand why.
No, I was gonna say, especially when they're like guest starring the Skulls. You're like, all right, well, the Skulls are in this episode.
Yeah,
like,
so I feel like one of the great parts about MGS. It kind of like threw you in an awkward situation. During the earlier games, like you didn't have a surprise telling you that you're gonna fight Vulcan Raven or you're gonna fight the Harrier or something like that. It just kind of like you were thrown in. It's like now deal with it in a very much like Kojima like approach. But I can understand like why I appreciate it, but I also kind of like criticize it as well for its value.
Like, can you imagine in MGS1 guest starring Liquid Sunglasses? And you're like, what? Yeah. And then later on, my god,
it'd be Liquid Snake and Liquid Snake sunglasses.
What is it by JF or whatever? It would totally be that same sponsor they use throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Everyone has those sweet, expensive JF sunglasses, even Austin.
I know, you me. But yeah, that's...
yeah?
I have no idea what we're up to.
Oh, shit. Well, okay. When we get to episode 6, where do the bees sleep? That's the first... where you have to get the honeybee... what is it? Missile launcher?
Yeah.
That's when you encounter Skullface for the first time in the game. And
yes.
and it's a really cool meeting, because you're like, holy shit, man. Like, because you really don't realize Skullface, and like throughout the promotion, I really didn't pick up on, oh my god, we've never seen Skullface and Big Boss interact. We've never seen them.
Yeah.
And in this scene, you see it, and it's like seeing Batman meet the Joker. It's so fucking cool. It's such a great setup. And, he comes out like, Big Boss, I see you've found my phantoms. And you're like, oh, fucking Skullface. And for some reason, he's wearing a Robin mask. He looks like a dead version of the Lone Ranger.
They never really explained that.
Yeah, like, we don't know why he looks like a dead Lone Ranger, but he does. And it's really weird. Yeah, that's something.
He wasn't really put on the mask.
It's going to be a DLC mission. Like Skullface gets his mask.
Yeah.
I'll take that one. That's the whole scene. It's just him picking it up. I'll take
credits roll, written and directed by Hideo Kojima. guest starring Venom Snake.
Skullface's mask. They'll never know. They'll never see it here. Like puts on the mask. But and then you get attacked by the Skulls again. Like you saw them originally in the opening when you're trying to rescue Kaz briefly, and now you really have to take on them, or you could just run away or whatever. And then that really begins the whole like we got to chase after Cypher thing. Skullface and his XOF people.
The other problem is that the final tapes towards the end, the ones that you told me, the 12 that you kind of get,
right.
They give real kind of depth behind it. They don't really tell you that Skullface hijacks Cypher's system either.
Yeah,
because that's a huge part about it, because it didn't really tell you that why Skullface becomes so big, and XOF expands, and how he's so how Zero becomes irrelevant to the story the first part of the game, it kind of becomes weird, almost like that. The other thing that what really annoys me is the fact that MGS like 1 through 4 is like kind of like how you see it. Like there was a mission objective about getting to a certain place, like going and seeing Big Mama. There would be like missions that lead up to it, like you have to follow the guy, etc., etc. This one, they're just very generic missions, like retrieve honeybee or save prisoner B, and then they kind of try and link it in with the story afterwards with cars on the radio.
Right.
I'm just like, this is really fucking Peace Walker shit. Because I think I really dislike Peace Walker in my kind of eyes. I think like story wise, it has a very solid story. Graphically, it's pretty good for the PSP, but I feel like that game just kind of, because it was a handheld, it played too much to its kind of like, what it's built on. And those kind of missions, the side ops, etc., were just like, kind of almost like, driving me nuts at one point when I was playing it the first time. But like, they are very generic missions, and that's kind of weird for me as well to play, because I'm like, the other MGSs were so, obviously it's an evolution, it's a different kind of approach and everything else he's doing, but they are very much throwaway missions almost. Like there's only very few of them that have like meaning behind them. Like I said, for episode 43 is one of the examples. Episode 30, 31. These are kind of missions where like you have a meaning behind doing them.
Right.
Which is a kind of big thing that detracted from me, because when I was playing it, I go and retrieve Soldier A, go and retrieve this file, and I'm like, what? Really? Like, really? Is this an evolution? For what it is, Metal Gear, is this really an evolution? MG1 was like that, where you went and retrieved like a fucking car key or something like that. It wasn't like... It's funny though, because Kojima never did that, like, MGS1, where you'd go and retrieve something almost. Like, maybe you did like the sniper rifle, but there was very like few times he'd make you do something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue with the game. I agree with you. A lot of the missions just feel they almost feel like side ops from Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
And then the side ops in this game are like really bottom of the barrel. Like, extract this prisoner, or like, eliminate this guy. They're very like just, like, almost like they feel like extra ops from Peace Walker. And that was definitely something, like, there's like gaps in the story because of that. I mean, I know there's cassette tapes and they say a lot of it, like what's going on, but even with the cassette tapes, there are gaps in it where you're just like doing these like you said, doing these random missions, and then they try to tie it into the main story, like, boss, it turns out that guy you extracted saw Skullface buy his mask. Now we know where he bought his mask. Target. We gotta go to Target, big boss. Dun, 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 dun. And then elite soldier, blump, whatever, sick bay, whatever. Like all that shit pops up. But yeah, dude, I totally like agree with you on that. It kind of takes you out of it. I mean, I love, and by the way, I know we're focusing on the story, but on a side note, I love the gameplay. Like it's so beautiful. The gameplay. I mean, this is my game of the year. I'll put it that way. But the story kind of is like a little bit off, even with those cassette tapes filling in the blanks. It still feels off at times,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking Kojima completely. Obviously, it's a different take and everything else, but in essence, it feels like such a kind of like it's drifting away, because those missions had very little purpose in a lot of context. And kind of like, do you want to do this? Well, kind of aggravate me at this point. I was like, oh, and then like just side ops, like go and find Huey in the side ops, and quote in quotes, it's an important side ops. That made no sense to me, because I'm like, why isn't that a main mission?
Yeah,
because it's still very relevant to the story. But I mean, yeah, it's a weird one as it is, how it's structured. I mean, like, obviously, if we go back to kind of the story, Quiet, episode 11, if I believe correctly, she enters the fray. You have to trigger it by going to the Alps ruins, is it something like that?
Right, yeah, we're getting to that part. You do, there's like because that's another thing we forgot to mention. There are important side ops, which are yellow. That's how it differentiates. And those are quote-unquote story-based. And basically what that means is that they unlock missions. That's all it is. Like, you know, because remember, at first you're doing the whole, like, you gotta find Hal Emmerich. Or Huey Emmerich. And that's the side op. You have to travel to a location to find Huey. And then, what is it? On the way to that mission, you get stopped by Quiet. And that's where episode 11 kicks in, where it's the first real boss battle of the whole game, which is you having a sniper fight with Quiet. Which, by the way, I loved. I thought it was like... It reminded me of like the Sniper Wolf battle. But like on a more epic scale, you know?
Yeah, because it was great though. Because again, it goes back to MGS. When you're thrown in that area, you're thrown in. Like it's you're on site. You know, you can use your Fulton to bring stuff in, but you're literally thrown into the fight.
Right.
And I think like it's one of the only real boss battles in the game. Again, this is a huge thing I need to talk to you about because Chris, where are the boss battles in the game?
Yeah. I mean, you could
like
literally run away from the skulls, so that doesn't really count.
That's what I mean. Like the most dramatic swing in a Metal Gear Solid series, excluding Sahelanthropus and Quiet, they are the main boss battles.
Well, and
in the
Eli,
game.
technically, later on. Technically, it's not over yet.
Oh no, I'm not giving that. That's no.
Come on, he's like a little monkey jumping out everywhere.
No, fucking that little dick face.
He was such a little shit, and when you get to see him, I'm like, "Fuck you, little kid," because I know what he grows up to be.
I just waited for a fucking grenade at him, but like it was one of the like yeah, it was such a strange thing in the game that I'm boss battles. I think we need to chew that into it a little bit more in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But the Quiet fight was awesome, though. I love the fact that you can kill Quiet if you want.
Right.
Right there and then Kojima gives you that choice.
It's a moment, which obviously don't kill her. Like, why would you do that, you know?
I'm more interested to go back and play it and see what happens if I kill her.
I haven't seen that yet, yeah.
Let's see where the story goes. Because if she plays such a big story arc that she kind of does. Because I think Kojima said, like, she's not necessarily a main character, but then, like, she kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, a big part of the chunk of the story. So, yeah, it's cool bringing her in. Like, cool abilities as well. Her cutscene's awesome when she's going back to Mother Base with Big Boss, and Big Boss's helicopter's attacked.
Yeah, great scene, by the way. Like, excellent cinematography, and it so shows how powerful Quiet is.
Yeah, again, I mean, like, Kojima's fucking great with the cinematography. Hard on for James Cameron, I think I told you.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of Terminator shots in this game. But, like, fantastic though, nonetheless. But, yeah, Quiet's a cool part of the addition of the story. Great buddy as well. Kind of, like, jumping a little bit forward with Quiet, her story arc ends really... I think you even said, like, it almost brought a fucking, you know, it's a tearjerker.
Oh my god, her story is the most beautiful thing about the Phantom Pain, and I also think it's the most Metal Gear-esque aspect of the whole game. It's the most Metal Gear, like, feeling you get, you know, like, in terms of, like, character arcs in her game. And it really, you know, and look, this is no disrespect towards people that believe this. You know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and you know, please, this is just my thoughts. It's not to downgrade anyone else's. But it really pisses me off a little bit when people are like, oh, Quiet is clearly just in the game for, you know, sexual reasons and...
don't even, if someone's subjecting that as criticism, that is just kind of like, oh, we've only put her in for male testosterone increases of people. Like, grow up and fucking get out of game criticism, because that's not your audience of what it is. You can criticize attire, but if you're putting that bland kind of argument forward and try to, like, you know, reinforce the fact that you're generalizing it and being very sexist at the same time of saying, oh, it's only a reason for putting in. Come on, there is more to it than that. If you feel free to criticize attires, everything else, you know, representation, but if you're putting the fact that it's the sense of, oh, she's only there for increasing, you know, the guy's hormones, etc. Like, come on. There's a lot more to a character than just that. I mean, like...
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, we are talking about Japanese games. We've seen a lot of Japanese games have characters similar to this.
Right.
And the representations. There are, for me, I've actually, like, quotation that's like, Kojima does do a lot of money shots, if anything, with Quiet. Especially on her, like, you know, cleavage area.
Yeah, those are really awkward, and I'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to finish what I was saying a second ago. But yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. But basically, what I was trying to say a second ago was, if you know, people can believe that they want to, that's totally fine. You know, like I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But for me personally, I thought Quiet was quite possibly the most beautiful character of the entire Metal Gear saga. And by beautiful, I don't mean in terms of her looks, but beautiful in terms of, like, what her character is. Like, I feel like Quiet is the personification of appreciation of, like, the little moments in life. I'll give you an example, the rain scene. Everyone's like, boobs, you know, and I'm like, okay, yes, there are wet breasts in that scene, but I think that whole, like, yes, I mean, that's a fact. But I think the whole point of that scene was just how beautiful of a moment her and Snake have in that scene. And again, to kind of like jump forward, her fate, which we'll get to later, but like what happens to her, it's just so goddamn beautiful what she does. And that scene, you know, that we'll talk about when we get there, it just really like nails it home. And like her final line, her final stance, you know, that shot of her in the desert, and it's like that beautiful camera shot and her cocking her sniper, like the ever powerful quiet, you know, even in the face of like danger. It's so fucking beautiful. And I love Stephanie Justin. I think she did an amazing job. I think she might be my favorite character of the game aside from Kaz was Quiet. So I mean, what I'm just saying is to people who say, you know, like, oh, she's a sexified character, like, you know, take a look at it again. Like, first of all, complete the game, because I talked to a ton of people who felt that way and they hadn't even completed the game, and I'm like, you do realize before you judge something, you should finish it. But, you know, whatever. Yeah. Maybe that's the knee-jerk reaction. But, like, I really think that you should finish the game and you should really kind of, like, see the meaning behind why these scenes are there. Like, really think about them besides just looking at the thing. And, you know, and this is like a spoiler, but at one point in the game, you don't get to use Quiet anymore. And, like, I think that just adds another layer to the theme of the game, like that phantom pain. Like, I miss Quiet.
It's pretty much...
Yeah. Like, I miss
it's
her.
about losing. It's about loss. The entire game is about loss.
I did a replay.
I think
couldn't use her, and it was sad.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that's the biggest balls that Kojima has. Like, pull the core mechanic from the game.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that you've upgraded this body, you've upgraded her, like, weapons and stuff, and then she leaves.
Yeah.
Like, wait, why I can't go get her back? It almost kind of, like, makes you feel angry.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the fact that you a loss and kind of like an underappreciation, again, themes of kind of the game. It is really powerful. I think the character is very good for what it is. I think at the same time, it doesn't Quiet, I feel like, could have had more of an arching plot to connect her into the story a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Because, like, she is a newly introduced character. I feel like there maybe could have been, like, you know, extra things thrown in about her to kind of, like, you know, deeply integrate into the plot even better.
Yeah, I wish she was. I wish she was even more into the game, like more there. And she kind of is. There's moments like, remember when she just like stabs that dude in the teeth with the fucking knife, and you're like, oh my god. You know, that's a pretty big point. But yeah, I think it was tough though, because imagine from Kojima's point of view, he wanted the option that you could kill her, and so you kind of have to write around her in a way.
Yeah.
So it's a tough choice, you know. Like, I almost wish that you didn't have that option, so she would have had a bigger role in the game. But yeah, that's a good point. But then going back to what you said a second ago, there are those tit shots. That's like, come on, dude. Like when they do like a close up of her tits, and then Kaz is like, "You look pretty damn healthy to me," and it's like, come on, what are you implying? You know, that she's a healthy young woman,
it's very different from the other games. Like, they are very, like, he does linger a lot, but I think maybe it's intentional.
Same thing with the sniper skulls. Remember at that point where it's like tits and ass shot, and you're like, why? It kind of makes you feel uncomfortable a bit at times.
It does, but I think Kojima's intentionally done that since the beginning. Like, you know, he does do lingering shots of the snakes behind in like MGS4 and stuff.
That's
like,
true.
Snake,
the microwave shot where it's old Snake's ass on your screen.
Exactly, he has some firm buttocks for anyone to see it. And, like, he does, like, there is no objectification of, like, any kind of character. To be honest, he does it on both sexes.
It's
like,
true,
even like, you know, he kind of like messes with the fact like people being bisexual and like, you know, just kind of everything about that universe is really different for what it is.
I mean, Vamp is shirtless the whole time. He's like, Gwyn, come, Gwyn, let's go.
Yeah.
I can't die
First,
twice.
I must take off my shirt.
She's probably a mermaid now, inside a bedroom. Like, damn it, Vamp. We should do a whole podcast on Vamp and just quoting him. But sadly, no Vamp in the Phantom Pain. Spoilers.
What?
But so getting back to the core game, so after your battle with Quiet, you finally get Emmerich, and there's that great scene with Skullface where he pulls a Hot Coleman and he kicks Huey down the stair. I thought that was a really cool, like, throwing back to it. And he's like...
Nod, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, Huey. He's like, take him away. And then he just leaves or whatever. That's my skull face, by the way. And, like, I think at that point, though, I started feeling Skullface kind of was more of like an 80s, which is ironic because this game's set in the 80s, but he felt like an 80s Bond villain. Like, I'll show you my plans first, big boss, and then I'll kill you. And you're like, what? Like, come on, dude. You're the guy that... You had your soldiers rape Paz in Ground Zeroes. You were so sinister and just evil. What the fuck's going on?
He is a better character in the tapes, which says a lot about Skullface, because again, like with the what he does in Ground Zeroes, he kind of does in the tapes. Like there's that great conversation between him and Code Talker, with the bell.
Oh god, great scene, such a great.
And then
scene.
and like everything about that personifies what Skullface was, and is, and like the fact that when you play it, the game, he's not really reflecting that. I'm like, hang on a minute, these like kind of real differentiation and splits of who he is as a character.
Yeah,
but I don't understand completely what the context is, because he's so great in the tapes and yet he feels so powerless in the game.
Oh yeah, I'm burning up.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, we'll get to that later. But the whole like now it's the new fiddle of Phantom Pain. It's the
he's a very interesting character. Like I really wanted him to be my favorite MGS villain. He kind of like very quickly sunk down the ladder after I saw what happened to him. But yeah, like him turning up in that kind of chapter, there's like, you know, whole string of Sahelanthropus, Huey turning up. Huey, my fucking god, but like that's a whole different like story to start off with, like kind of talking about. But yeah, that's a cool mission. I even love like how Sahelanthropus like starts chasing you down. You get into the LZ, and then like basically erupts from the ground. You start shooting with the gun.
And you're shitting bricks. This giant Metal Gear's. It's such a great mission. It's probably one of the best missions of the game. It has like all these great elements. You have to infiltrate the base. You get Huey, and all of a sudden you have to get out of the base with Huey attached to you.
With Huey,
and the whole time he's like, Snake, I didn't betray you. Come on, Snake. Yeah. And you're like, shut up, Huey. And
I love the boss puts the flag on his head.
He's just like, shut the fuck up. And then, you know, you're leaving, and then, like you said, all of a sudden, like, Sahelanthropus comes out. And again, like, Skullface is, like, in his head, and he's like, what do you think of my Sahelanthropus, Snake? And you're like, what the fuck is this?
It's so cool that it stands up.
Yes.
Like, it goes from, like, stand... It makes also a little bit strange sense of, like, in kind of continuity of what Metal Gear is.
Oh, yeah.
Because you question why Rex doesn't stand up.
Yeah, or Ray, or, you know...
Yeah.
Could Arsenal stand up? Did it have little feet?
Well, Arsenal did. Little feet, like a tortoise, like moving around.
Yeah, it's like a...
shell.
Could do land and sea. Solid is not a bad thing.
Oh, it's so cool. And even its, like, sword whip thing that it has.
Oh, dude.
That's also cool. They don't really explain that either.
Yeah, he's a cool design though. Like you could tell like they kind of said fuck continuity, and they just made like they knew this was going to be like one of the last Metal, or possibly the last Metal Gear, so they tried to make him like almost elements of all the other Metal Gears. You know
what Granin said? You know, a machine with legs.
Yeah,
you know, it can walk on terrains, like it can break through terrains. It's like an evolution of almost what it is for Metal Gear.
Yeah.
You have to remember though, it's not equipped with a nuclear weapon though. The Sahelanthropus, that big boss gets this. Obviously, that's probably where it kind of breaks continuity.
Yeah.
That it's intentionally not equipped with a nuclear missile.
Maybe Hal was like, I can't do it because of the modules.
It's my Japanese animes.
Yeah, my Japanese animes, they kind of slouch. My dad always talked about it when he got drunk. I don't believe him.
Yeah.
That's my Otacon, by the way. And my Huey, because it's the same voice. But okay, let's talk about Huey for a little bit, because this is really where he gets introduced in episode 12. Huey's a dick. Like
he's a very complex character. And
he became a liar. He became a compulsive liar. He became a piece of shit. He became a selfish, scientist that just cared about nothing but his own self-gain. I don't know what the hell happened to him. In Peace Walker, he seemed like basically Otacon in a wheelchair. And then in Ground Zeroes, we really had nothing. He just has like a couple of cassette tapes. There's nothing there. And then in the Phantom Pain, I mean, I will easily say he's probably my least favorite character in terms of how much I hate him as a person. in the entire Metal Gear series. Especially, dude, what he does to like Strangelove and stuff. I mean, that kind of,
that's very disturbing when you find that out.
Yeah, and the tape with
the revelation.
The tape that was recorded inside the AI pod. I mean, mad props to oh my god, why am I forgetting her name? Oh, I can't believe I forgot Strangelove's voice actor. This is really bothering me. Oh my god, I was talking to her the other day. I'm so sorry. She's also on Star Wars Rebels. She's such a cool voice actor, but she does such an amazing job in that scene because essentially Strangelove suffocates, and she's just sitting there and playing this character that's slowly dying. And dude, it's really sad. Like, I can't watch it. Like, I tried listening it again on my second playthrough, and I had to stop the tape because it was really kind of like making me feel unsettled. It's such a good performance.
Yeah.
And it's also very beautiful what she says about how...
Vanessa Marshall?
Yes, thank you, yes. Vanessa Marshall. Amazing job. Like, she's such a talented actor. She plays Hera on Star Wars Rebels. She actually played Olga Gerlukovich in Metal Gear Solid 2.
And Eva, MGS Portal Ops.
Yeah. She just... Great actor, but that scene, it's kind of interesting, though, because what she says about Hal, how she wanted Hal to be the embodiment of her DNA, her genes with the boss's memes. What's interesting is a lot of people say that Solid Snake is a lot more similar to the boss, more so than what Big Boss was, and he teams up with Otacon. So it's very interesting that Strangelove wanted that, and she died, and it's almost like her dying wish was fulfilled, because when Otacon meets Snake, he kind of gets those teachings, almost like those teachings from the boss, from Solid Snake. One could argue. But going back to Huey, he's a very complex character. He constantly lies throughout the whole game. He's the cause of so much bad stuff that happens in Diamond Dogs, that happens to like all the characters, and those moments where he's like, Snake, I've decided I want to be, like the old times. I want to help you, and you're just rolling your eyes, like I'm sure, like I'm sure you're not going to stab me in the back.
His character is just like goes to the level of almost like a scientist losing his mind.
Yeah.
As you said, gaining kind of like a more of an interest in self-gratification than what science is meant to be like. Helping everyone move forward. And it kind of speaks words of what like Sahelanthropus is standing up, and then Huey's standing up on his like robotic legs. Like he wants to be someone who can stand on his own 2 feet.
Right.
And what he does to Strangelove kind of like is really creepy when you learn what happens to Strangelove. Fuck me, but it kind of leads into what Huey is.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like Huey and Hal, and kind of like the character, like even the kind of fact that Hal was in Metal Gear is kind of like ironic.
Yeah.
Of what like kind of what he's actually like, what he's going to become one day. He's going to build another Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Like it's in there. It goes back to that kind of like line where Huey, what Hal says in MGS1, 3 generations of Emmerich men. It's like, things written in our DNA, like, bad genes are written in our DNA or something like that. It makes a lot of sense. Also, I think it's kind of a cool fact that, Hal is Huey and Strangelove's son.
Yeah, that was another interesting aspect. I pretty much thought they inferred it when at the end of Peace Walker, she's like, I only date a man who could stand on 2 feet. And then she walks away, and you're like, that's the cutest she looked in the whole game. And then in the little credits, they're like, Huey has a son, names him Hal. I always thought they inferred that, but they just flat out said it. Like, Strangelove is, Huey's, Hal's mom. And I kind of like that. I like that a lot. It's almost like the essence of Strangelove almost kind of like lingers in Otacon. Like her spirit kind of continues on in that character if you're playing the games chronologically. So yeah, I like that. I thought that was a really cool addition that Kojima made.
Definitely.
But anyway, so moving on with the main game, basically, again, random missions. You have that one mission, remember, where you go into the mines and you save those kids? And then you have to fucking extract them, and you're like, I hate this.
Those kids are like, fuck off and just sit there, you fucking wankers.
They never listen to you. But I thought that was interesting story-wise, that the Big Boss spares them and brings them to Mother Base with the intentions of not training them as soldiers, but to train them in how to read, how to write, so that they could become, they would have the options to do other things and not have to fight. which is weird because a lot of
Yeah.
Kojima's comments made it seem like you would, enlist child soldiers,
Yeah, they're kind of like, yeah, it's a very interesting theme to play with because people are like, oh my god, I remember reading fucking shit on like criticisms about it. It's like, oh, he's getting child soldiers and stuff like this. What he's going to do? Like, yeah, it does it really, really well
Yeah.
for what it is. It's kind of like eliminating. Like the fact is, it kind of like plays into the theme, like you can't really break them away from their genes of fighting, but yet you can kind of like change their course and their future and everything else.
Right.
Also, no kid soldiers that are drabbing, so
Yeah.
there's another myth smashed for people.
Yeah, people were like, one of them's Drabbin.
Yeah, no, I'm not racist, but maybe one of them's drabbing.
It's like, what was that? Remember, dude, I told you that when I was a little kid in the 90s and I was reading all these rumors about Star Wars, everyone would say, oh, I bet Mace Windu is going to be Lando's dad. And I'm like, why? Because he's black? Like, what fucking logic is that? Like...
It's the only reason in Star Wars universe.
And then, dude, and the saga continues because now this new character, Finn, who's played by the Maze. I love John Boyega, who's played by him. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's Lando's son." I'm like, what is this obsession with Lando? And like, everyone's related to him just because they're fucking black. Like, what the hell does that mean?
If that ever happened, it'd have to like cut to a face with Lando's just smiling.
He just gets around with the ladies, Yeah. well, what have we here? Like, just doing his thing.
The original OG of like the Star Wars universe.
Like George goes, my original vision, Lando is everyone's father. Even Anakin's, but Shmi didn't want to talk about the time traveling, administrator of Cloud City that visited her. Anyway, sorry, we're going off topic, but and then as the game continues, you also have that awesome scene. Remember the voices mission where you have to go into those mines, and dude, that game mission is played so well at nighttime. It's so scary. The Devil's House.
Yeah, I've even said this again. Like, this is why Kojima needs to make a fucking horror game.
Yes.
Like, he does exactly what he does with MGS. When you hear those noises at first, it's like, and like you go into the room where Grey Fox has killed all those fucking soldiers.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit! Like, it's kind of like that realization of what's happened. Yeah, like the lead up, like just the blood trails. Then you walk in, then just like bodies, and they've got headphones in them.
Oh, before that, did you hear the PT reference?
Yeah,
that was so cool. And again, it adds to it because then you start thinking about PT, and you're like, oh fuck! Like you get afraid. You're like, what am I walking into?
It's kind of like it shows a lot of inspiration of where PT kind of like emerged from. You obviously learned something. I mean, with like, I even love Skullface turning up in that sequence. It also makes no sense why he doesn't just shoot Big Boss straight out.
Yeah, where he's like, you're here, Big Boss.
But, yeah. It's like, I'll disappear again for the sake of main plot.
Yeah, he becomes, dude, he just becomes this, like, generic Bond villain. I could kill you, but instead I'll leave you in an easily escapable death trap. Goodbye, boss. And just walks away.
I think like one of my coolest things, I think we both picked is where the car's like, get the fuck out of that snake when the amount of fire turns on.
Yes, that scene, it's amazing. 'Cause it's like, isn't that exactly what you're thinking? Like you're in this enclosed area, meters away from this guy, and all of a sudden Kaz is like, get the fuck out of it! Again, Robert Atkin Downes, man. Great, like one of the best voice actors of this game. Like just nails it in that scene. What do you think of that fight, by the way? That's technically another boss battle. Not really, but how you had to avoid him.
Boss battle.
What happened?
Yeah. A mini boss battle of sorts.
Yeah, where you have to avoid him, and I thought it was interesting.
Was a cool fight. It's again one of those kind of Kojima games where you have to kind of figure out what to do.
Right. Yeah.
Like get the water out on him and stuff like that. Because that's what I was calling Ocelot. He's like, maybe a shotgun will help. I'm like, yes, Ocelot, you got a good idea. Like, falling in a fucking shotgun and shoot him. Like, no, nothing there. It's definitely a good one in that sense, like how it's it's very Kojima-esque. Like there's no context about what to do. You have to remember what the Man of Fire's weakness is,
right?
And then kind of like just play it. Because I was like firing RPGs at him and shit. I was like, die! It's like he's like fucking floating away. And then I finally realized there's water canisters there, hit him, like flew away. Really cool. Like I love that fight with that. It was really awesome.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But then, the game continues, you do more random missions, and then eventually you meet the White Mamba, a.k.a. Eli, a.k.a. Liquid Snake, and you have that weird, not really boss battle where he's like, "It's not over yet," and I love Liquid. I love him so much, and seeing a little kid Liquid, the actor they got, dude, they so encompass like little Liquid. Like Liquid was mad his entire life, even when he was like 12 years old. He's just so pissed,
I have to say, like with unfortunately, we'll come on to this with the cut mission at the end. It kind of gives even better context of why Liquid's so angry. It kind of makes even more ironic sense of why he's angry. And kind of like even his tape with the laissez-faire terrible, they basically throw a massive plot twist in there, in a wrong way, because basically the tape suggests that Liquid isn't Venom Snake's son, and then you kind of like sit there and it's like basically you think, wait a minute, maybe he's not Liquid, but that's not the entire point. It's might be flippy on the other person, but we'll come on to that later. Who it is, but I thought that was a great kind of like subtle drop earlier on of like what the plot is actually doing. But yeah, like with Eli, I think strangely enough, there's not that cutscene's not in it from the E3 trailer. Do you know he has the white chair?
Oh, you can achieve that if you try to get to him from the side. That cutscene plays.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Like if you know how like they set it up that you go up that ramp and then it's that shot of him like sitting in the most comfortable, in the most comfortable way.
Yeah.
Like if you go from the side, you climb up on the side of the ship and you go on the side. You don't even have to fight him, by the way. If you throw an empty ammo